Hello, my name is Eduardo and I am here with a new tutorial, okay? Well, for today we're going to check a very interesting thing that is not a game, okay? So today we're going to make an app. Well, this app, okay, it was an idea from one of my subscribers, that is Holly Dorso, and she was commenting me something in this video about making lists, okay? And she said something about making a grocery list or something, okay? And then I was just thinking about making an app, okay, about the shopping list, okay, shopping list app or something like that, okay? So, and I guess it's a very nice idea, so I started working with something and it was pretty interesting, okay, because I have to use many things, especially blocks like for each, well, to create lists, and many things are in this, okay, in this tutorial, okay? So I guess it is going to be very interesting for you, okay? So let me show you the app first, okay? It is not finished, okay? So this app is not finished, but I'm going to show you how to make just the beginning, okay? So the first thing that we have in the first screen, I was thinking about this. We have 3 screens, okay? So we're going to have 3 screens. Screen number 1, it is the screen to plan, okay? To plan your list. I mean, in this part, you will create the list, okay? So you have to prepare everything that you need, you think that you are going to buy. So for example, let's say that I need some eggs. So I press this button and I save this item. Then I add a new one, for example, T, save, soap. What about maybe some nuggets for the children, nuggets. Maybe some oil for the kitchen, probably some napkins. So, and then you start creating your list, okay? So basically that is the idea. So napkins and probably let's see, what about milk? Okay, then you add this. You have here this button that is not a button. In this case it is what's the name of this? A list picker, okay? So in this case, when you press it, okay, so let me show you here. So this is this guy, okay, the list picker. So now it has the list that I just created. So very interesting, right? Now, so we have this. I have another button that is erase my list, and it has here a notifier that is telling me, hey, would you like to delete this whole list? And you say no, you say yes. I say no, and my list continues. Oops, I have to check there because I say no, but it didn't do it. Well, as I told you, it is not finished yet, okay? So, but we are going to add new items to this to fix this little mistake. So we're going to add again X. That was ridiculous, right? So I was pretending that this was working, but no. Well, X, donuts, tomatoes or tomatoes. Maybe some nuggets again, cereal, chocolate, and flour. Save. Now I have my list, so we're not going to try to delete it because it is not working. We're going to fix that, and then I need to add here a button to go to the next part. In the next part, this list is going to create, okay, I mean, it is not like that, but we're going to say that it's going to create some check boxes. Okay, so check boxes. So, and this is the section about shopping. So you are in the store. Then when you are in the store, you have this shopping part. So now you have, if you check, I have the checkboxes according to the list that I just created. Okay, and I will explain this. So for example, I get the eggs. Oh, I couldn't find any donuts, tomatoes, nuggets, chocolate, and flour. So probably I couldn't get the cereal and the donuts. So this is the second screen. We save this data. And then I have another list because that is going to show me what I bought. I don't know if it's necessary, but I have this. These are just the ones that are checked. And finally, I have the third screen. The third screen is just like a report. So in this report, we are going to have items I bought today. Eggs, tomatoes, nuggets, chocolate, flour. Things I couldn't buy today. Donuts and cereal. And I was thinking about sending this list to your email or something, but well, it is not finished as I told you, but it is just the base part, the basic part. Okay, so if you check, well, there is another thing in screen number 2. I am using this because remember that in Companion we cannot use buttons to go from screen to screen. Okay, it is not enabled in Companion, but well, I add this kind of calculator, okay, just to know, okay, how much are you spending. Okay, so basically that is the idea. So for example, I can have the price here, and let's say that I bought X, and it was like price, it was like 35 for 1 pesos for 2 kilos. So I have that. I add this to the subtotal. And then I got the tomatoes, and the tomatoes were like 15 pesos, and I bought 2 kilos. 2 kilos of tomatoes. I add this, and then I got the cereal, and the cereal, it was 60 pesos. I bought just 1 package. I have this, and then I got the chocolate, and the chocolate was like 45 pesos for 1 bag. And then I add this. Okay, this is just to have this. This is just to help you when you are buying, because when I go shopping with my family, okay, sometimes my daughter is like checking this if we have, for example, we say, okay, you know, we have this amount of money and we cannot pass over this part. Okay, so that's why, just to have an idea about how much are you spending, okay, while you are buying. And basically that is the idea with this simple app. That is not very simple, it is very interesting. Okay, so remember 3 screens. Okay, we have the 3 screens. One is to plan, the second one is when you are shopping, checking, okay, and the third one is like a report. Okay, basically in the second one, when you are shopping, you have a calculator also. So let's start with this project. Okay, so for this we are going to create a new project, and we are going to call it my shopping list. My shopping list. So, and let's start. Well, as I told you, okay, if you remember in this thing, we were using just some text boxes. Okay, so let me show you that because I didn't show you. We have a text box, we have here 2 buttons, and we have a list picker. In the second screen, we have text box for the calculator, we have just labels and 1 button, and finally we have just labels, 2 labels. Okay, so it looks pretty simple about the components, but so let's start with this thing. So as I told you, we need to add, let me use shopping list. So we're going to add first our text box. So in this text box we are going to set the width to the percent like 90% for the width, and we are going to center everything. Then after this we're going to drag from layout, we're going to drag an horizontal arrangement, set the field to field parent, center and center. Then we're going to drag the first button and second button. First button we're going to rename it and we're going to call it save. In this case it was the one for save item, just to be more expressive. Then we're going to call it save item. The second one we're going to rename it and we're going to call it delete button, and we're going to say delete list. Okay, basically that is the thing. And finally we are going to have a list picker just to check the list that we just created, and we're going to call it list picker shopping list picker. Okay, and we're going to set this text here to my list, my shopping list, right? My shopping list. It's done. So I guess we're ready to start. Okay, well, now let's think a little bit about this thing. What is the first thing that we're going to do? Well, remember, when the user writes in here, then we have to press this to save the item. We're going to save the item, but we're going to save it. We're going to use something here that is the tinyDB. Okay, so a database that we can share. The idea is because we can share information or data, okay, among the screens, okay, the different screens. So we're going to drag a tinyDB. So blocks, and now the first thing that I think we're going to create, it is a procedure. This procedure is going to be called save item to database. Okay, save item to database. So now the first thing here, now we're going to check, and for example we have here, and we're going to modify just the text box, the hint here, and just write items just for the hint. Also we're gonna center the text. We're gonna go here, and now we're going to check if this is not empty. We don't want to add anything if this is empty. If this is empty, we don't want to work. Okay, we don't want to be like saving, or this button able to be saving data. Okay, so in this case we are going to say, hey, if not, okay, if not, and because this is text, we are going to use here is empty. So if the text is not empty, which text? The text box. Okay, so if this text box it is not empty, so if this thing has words in it, okay, or letters in it, we are going to add items to a list we haven't created. So in this case we are going to create a variable, and we're going to call it my list, and we are going to set it for the initial value to an empty list. So we are going to send all the data to a list and then to the database. So the first thing is to the list. Okay, so if the list is, if the text box it is not empty, we are going to add item, okay, to the list. Which list? To my list. Which item? Well, the word that is in the text box. And then we're going to send this information after you have it in your list. We are going to send it to the database. Okay, so you go to call here in tinyDB, and then you go for call tinyDB store value, and we're going to create a tag for the value. The tag we're going to call it shopping. Okay, so you have the shopping, and in this tag we are going to say the value my global list. Okay, so we have sent the value to the database, okay, the list. Then we need to send now this data, okay, the data or the list, to the list picker, to the shopping list picker. So we're going to look for set shopping list picker elements to, again, duplicate this one, global my list. And after this, we want to empty this thing, okay, the text box. We are going to empty the text box, just going here for text box, set the text box to empty thing. And with this thing, we just clean the text box, okay? So we have the procedure. We have to use this procedure inside this button, the save item button. So we go to procedure and we call it in here. Okay, so now let's see if this thing is working. So let's see that we add X and then we press save item. Well, let me refresh everything, because if not we can have some problems because we created variables. So let's call this, let's just refresh the screen. Yes, it's better. So now we are going to call this X nuggets save check. When I click here, this just does this procedure. If I press in here, nothing is happening because this is empty. Okay, and let's add something else, oil. So we have 3 items. Let's check now my shopping list. We have eggs, nuggets, and oil. Very nice, right? It is working, this thing. Now, what else? Well, now, in this case, we need to use this button to delete the whole list. To do that, we are going to do something similar like this, but instead of adding items, we are going to remove items from the list. Okay, so in this case, basically that is the idea. Okay, so to do that, we are going to delete the list. It's going to clean the whole list. Okay, so basically that is the idea. But let me check. Maybe it is not very convenient to delete the whole list. Maybe if we just remove one item from the list. So let's check. Okay, so let's duplicate this one, the save item, and we're going to rename it to delete item from database. So how can we know this? How can we remove this? So let's remove this block because it's not necessary, because we're not going to add. We are going to remove. So we're going to remove items, okay? And we're going to go to list. We go to the part that it says, oh sorry, this is not the one. We go for remove list item. From which list? From global my list, the only list I have. Index. We cannot the index. Okay, so we're going to do this. When we click here, let's see that I want to remove nuggets. I click nuggets. So when you click an item, you are triggering one of these things, that is item, yes, selection index. This is the index, so the one that I just touched. So, and it has the same index that as in my global list. So then we are going to remove this, and then we are going to update the database using this shopping list, get global my list, and then set shopping list picker elements. We are going to update the list picker, and then we are going to remove the text from here if we have any text on there. Okay, so but it says if is not empty, so in this case it's not necessary this condition. So in this case we can delete things even if this thing is empty. So now let's insert this in the delete item. Okay, so let's call it delete item. So let's rename this thing delete in the bottom, delete item, delete item, just I guess. And maybe you know what, after we use this thing, delete speaker, well, I'm going to show you. So what if we select in this part, we go to shopping list, after we pick a word, we're going to go to set text box, we're going to set it in here, we're going to remove it from here, and we're going to set it to, let me remove advertisement, shopping list, and selection. So check, if I click in here in the after picking, there is a mistake over there, my shopping list, we haven't enabled this thing, but well, so again let's refresh everything because we have just a little mistake over there. X, oh sorry, nuggets and oil. So now we have here in the shopping list 3 elements. So for example, if I click here, after picking this thing, we will have it in this part. Or for example, if we click here, we have X. So in that case, we know that we can eliminate this one. So to do that, we are going to use this in delete button. Okay. So, but check, if I go here to procedures and insert this and delete item from list, delete item. So, and when we press this, we are going to empty the text box. Yes, we need it here. So we are going to remove, call, refresh or update the database. Then we are going to update the list picker. And then we're going to clean this thing. So let's say delete item. Now check the list, and we have 2 elements. For example, if I want to erase this one, delete item, and that's it. We have it over there. Okay. So basically that is the idea. Okay. So if you want to delete something, I'm not sure if this is very convenient. So you check the list. Now let's add 2 more things. Okay, broccoli, bread, and pasta. We check the list. We have the elements. So basically that is the idea in here. So I was thinking about other things, okay, but I guess I am happy with that. Okay, so just to keep it very simple, the thing. Now when we start the app, so we need to think what happened when we start. What if we usually go and buy the same things? Well, probably we want to keep this list, okay, for the next time we start the app. Okay, so to do that, we are going to do this. We are going to create a procedure to load any possible value if we haven't, if we have used the app. Okay, so in this case, we're going to call it load last list. So we're going to load the last list. We're going to go here and we're going to create a condition and we're going to use not, and then we're going to check the list. Which list is list empty? Which list? Well, in this case, the list that we have just saved, that is the one that it has here, that is in here in this tag in shopping. So we're going to go to tinyDB and then we're going to call get value. We're going to call this value. We're going to check if this thing is not empty. Instead of this, because it's a list, we're going to insert create empty list, just if we don't have any tag. Okay, so and then we're going to set the tag to shopping, because this is the name of the list in the database. Okay, well, the tag for the database. Then if this thing is not empty, that means that it has a value, that is that it has a list. Well, we're going to set the list, the global list, we're going to set it to this value. We're going to duplicate, and then we're going to set the list picker. We're going to update the list picker. So where is the list picker? Elements, list picker, elements, selection, elements. Oh yeah, elements to the list that we just added in here. So we duplicate this one. So again, the list is not empty when we start the game, the app. So if not empty, pass this value to the list that is empty in that moment, and also pass these values from the list to the list picker to update the list picker, or to create this list in the list picker. Okay, and we're going to insert this beautiful procedure here when we initialize the screen. So we're going to say, hey, you know, check if you don't have anything over there, and in that case we will load the screen. Okay, so basically that is the idea. So we're ready to go to screen number 2, and we can add another button just to go over there when we finish the app. Okay, so in this case I just will screen 2, next screen button, and we're going to call this go shopping. So we go shopping, and it will open the screen number 2. Well, to open the screen, remember that we use a very simple procedure to open screens. Let's call it here open screen, and basically the idea is to insert a condition, and we're going to set this to true. If true, okay, so that we use this procedure. So we're going to go to, okay, so we're going to open another screen, and which is the screen? Well, we go to screen number 2. So we write the name screen number 2, capital S, screen 2, and also we want to close this current screen, that is screen number 1. We don't want to have lots of screens opened. Okay, so and that is the procedure. Okay, then we go here to the button next screen. When we click the button, we are going to use this open screen procedure, and it will open. So obviously I cannot use this here in companion. Okay, so but don't worry. So now let's review this. Okay, we create a procedure to update or save items. So add items to a list, and then to the database, and then to the list picker. To delete an item, a selected item from the database, it's the same. We are going to remove the item that we just selected in the list picker, and then we are going to remove it, and then we are going to update the database and update the list picker, and also erase the items in here in the text box. Load, when we load the screen or when we start, we are going to check if we don't have any previous list saved over there. Okay, just in case, or if you want to use it. Okay, basically that is the thing. And we're going to update the database and update the list picker. And finally, we need a procedure to open the next part, where is the one that we're going to use the checkboxes. Now we are going to create a new screen. Okay, and we are going to continue with the next part of the tutorial. Okay, well, basically that was the first part. Now let's go with the second part, that it's pretty interesting. So in this second part, we are going to now we are going to create, or we are going to add checkboxes. So this part is important. because we're going to need here the checkboxes, a bunch of checkboxes. We're going to drag first a layout, a vertical scroll arrangement. Then we're going to set it the width to fill parent, and the other one in automatic the height, okay? Or we can set it, you know what, to 50% of the screen. That's it. I guess that's a good number. And then we're going to go here to user interface, and we're going to add checkboxes. Now we're going to set this, the vertical scroll arrangement, to center top, and then we are going to start dragging checkboxes. So you need to think about this. When you have a list, you have probably like 20 items or something, so you need to add as much checkboxes as you think, okay? For example, I think that the maximum number of checkboxes could be well, in this case we're going to set it just to automatic, just to finish everything. So I'm going to set this to 11, 12, what about 15 items? 13, 14, 15, 16 items, okay? So you can have more, and I recommend you have like 20, okay? So 17. Now you are going to make these items or checkboxes invisible. You can do this in here, okay? So you can set them invisible, or you can use it with some code, okay, to make things easier. So you go here, and the first thing that we need to create, it is a list of checkboxes. So that is like a component. So we're going to create a procedure, and we're going to call it make checkboxes. And we're going to create a list for the checkboxes. We're going to call it checkboxes component. We're going to set it to an empty list. Then we're going to go to list, and we're going to add the items to this list. That is the bunch of checkboxes. So to the list is this one, and we're going to start adding slots. So if you check, we have 17, so we need 17 slots. This part is not very fun. This is just the part that it's a little bit annoying. So you can add 17 things of this, but believe me, later we will say sometime 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Then we're going to go to the first checkbox, and we're going to go to the bottom, and we're going to take this guy, the checkbox 1 block. Then we're going to copy, Ctrl C, and paste, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, and we are going to start inserting here the checkbox 1, and then we're going to change the name. I guess that's better. I'm not sure if this is like the fastest way, but for me it works like this. Then those 2 more, and then we're going to change the names from checkbox 2, checkbox 3, checkbox 4, checkbox 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it is important to add a lots of them. 17. Okay, well, we have the checkboxes now. And now, as I told you, I want to make the checkboxes invisible when we start the screen. So to do that, we're going to do this. We're going to create a for each procedure. I have a video about using for each, okay, so please check it if you have any problems. And we're going to call this for each sprite. sprite, not sprite. I was thinking in the other tutorial. For each checkbox in the list, which list? This list that we just created. For each checkbox in this list, okay, so we are going to do something. We are going to set a property. So we go to any component, so go to the bottom, you go for any component, and then look for any component blocks. So you're going to look for any component visible, and then we're going to duplicate this one, and we're going to find enable. So we are going to set them to false. We're going to make them invisible and disable. And here where you have of component, you have to insert this little block. And then we are going to set visible to false, duplicate false, and enable false. And then this procedure, it will go when you load the screen, when you start the screen. So you go here to initialize, and we're going to insert this procedure. Now let's refresh the screen to see what happens. That's it. You don't have anything because they are now invisible and disabled. Now here comes the fun part. Now we need to prepare the checkboxes based on the list from the first screen. That is the tag that it was in the database checkbox. It was shopping. So we're going to drag here in storage. We're going to drag another tinyDB just to communicate with the previous screen data. Okay, now in this part we're going to create another procedure here. Okay, and we're going to call this prepare check boxes. Okay, and we're going to use for each again, for each, and we're going to call here for each checkbox in the list, in the same list. Okay, we are going to set the checkbox visible, but we don't want to enable all the checkboxes. We just want to enable just the same amount as items that we have in the list. Okay, in which list? In this list. Let me show you the list. The tag, remember that it was shopping. In the first screen, you rename it like shopping, and we set just this to empty list. If we just check what we have in this list, we have oil, broccoli, bread, and pasta. So we just want to have four check boxes. So we are going to insert here a condition. What is the condition to enable these things? Well, we need to create a variable. The variable, it will be like a counter. This counter, it will tell us, okay, just the number of items that we have in the list. So we're going to insert here the condition if, okay, well, the counter, we're going to set it to 0. Then the condition is this: if the global counter, it is less than the length of the list. Which list? Here, check the length of the list. It will tell us the number of items in the list. So it is less than the number of items that we have in this list that is stored in the database. So we want to set the counter. We are going to increase this counter plus 1. So every time we run this kind of loop, so we are going to increase it by 1. So we duplicate this one. In the first time it is 0 plus 1. So it will add 1 checkbox until it gets to the length of the list. Which is the length of the list? Let's do it. 4. Okay, so it will run this thing for 4 times. Okay, so we're going to duplicate the visible and the enable thing. and we're going to set them, okay, to true. That's it. Okay, so well, so far so good. Now there is another thing. We want to add the text to the checkbox. Well, we're going to do something similar. We're going to go to any component, and then in any checkbox we're going to look for text set checkbox. Now we're going to add the same thing, that is the checkbox, and then we're going to set the text, and we're going to use something tricky here. Select list item, because we don't know and we need to find the name based on the item. We're going to duplicate this one from the database, from the list of the database, and the index, it is the same as the global counter. So item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, until item number 4. Okay, and then if we have this, if this is true, okay, if this is less, well, we are going to enable this. Else all of the items will stay like that, disable and invisible. Basically that is the idea. And then we're going to reset the counter. Okay, so we set this to 0. Sorry, that was my dog. Okay, we set it to 0, and we are going to check what happens now when we refresh the screen. So just give me a second. Let me refresh the screen. And hopefully we will have like something. But we haven't loaded anything in the screen after we make the checkboxes. Okay, we made them invisible. We're going to prepare them, and we're going to see what happens now. Okay, now it is in the initialize. We refresh the screen, we check, and we have just these 4 items, and that's it. Okay, so now we're ready to add more things. Okay, so we are ready to send this data to the final page. Okay, in the final page we are going to have just a report, but also we need to save this data. Okay, so well, to save the data we're going to create here a save procedure, save, and we're going to create a variable to save this data, that it will be final list. This is the list that we're going to export, and we're going to set it to create empty list. So we're going to set here first. The first thing is we're going to if we set it to empty list, we're going to use here, when I press in here, I want to check which elements I have in my list. For example, if I check this, okay, for example, we are going to go to add a list picker. The list picker is just to check that we have the elements we have. Okay, so we are going to center the screen, and that's it. And we're going to leave it like list picker, and we are going to set this to my list. But we don't want to see this list, okay, when we start the app, so we want to have it invisible. So we want to see this when we save the list. Okay, so basically that is the idea. So we are going to need also a button, that is the one that is going to save the data. We're going to rename it here, save button, and this is going to be enabled, of course, and visible. We're going to rename this to save. And when we save the information, let me set just this thing to a color here to see this this layout. So when I press save, it will, we want to save these check items. So to save the check items, we are going to make this. We're going to set the list picker elements. Set the list picker elements to nothing, okay, because well, we want to have it empty. So let me check what we can do first. So I guess we need to use a for each again. For each, and in for each we're going to have again checkbox. For each checkbox in the list, okay. So in the normal list that we have of components of checkboxes, but we don't want to check all the checkboxes because we have like 20, but we just are interested in the ones that are here, check and enable, okay, or check basically. So we're going to add a condition if. So we're going to set if, and we're going to drag it here. So we're going to say check the condition in any component if any of these checkboxes is check, okay, component, it's set it to true. Well, if we have any of these things check, so we want to add items to the list. Which list? Final list, this list that we just created. And which item? Well, in this case we want to add the checkbox text, so the text from the one that is check. So we duplicate this one, and then we are going to update the database, okay. So we're going to go to the database, and we're going to call, and we're going to create a new tag because we don't want to override the other one. So we're going to call this final list, and in final list we're going to just copy the global final list, okay. We're going to set it in there, and then we're going to refresh the list picker, set list picker elements to global final list. So basically that is the idea. And also we're going to check else if we want to create another list. So this is the list of the items that are checked, or the ones I bought. But what about the broccoli and pasta? These are the ones that I haven't bought, okay. So what can I do? Well, we are going to do something similar. We're going to add a condition if checkbox is not checked, but also because we have other ones, so it is not checked, and it is visible. So that is the condition. We need to check. So that's why I use and. So here and. So if the checkbox is not checked, I add this one. Sorry, it's a mistake. This one, it's in here. No, my mistake. It's the checkbox, like that. Sorry, I got confused. If my checkbox, okay, if my checkbox, it is not checked and also it's visible, that means that is just these two guys, okay. So we are going to duplicate this one, and we're going to go for visible, and visible is true but not checked. So because if not, we are going to have all the other ones that are here, that the 20 that are not visible. So what do we want to do? We want to add items to another list. So we have global final list, and we're going to add missing list, or missing items list, okay. So we're going to call it missing list. So we're going to add to this thing, to this list, sorry, then if add items to the global missing list, so and then we are going to update the database, but in the database we are going to create a new tag for the new list, and this list is going to be missing list, and we are going to set this list. So we are just like saving data, okay, the ones that we bought and the ones that we couldn't buy, okay. So basically that is the thing. And finally we are going to set, when we run this thing about save, we want to make the list picker visible. So let me hide this thing. List picker visible. Set list picker visible, and we're going to set it to true. Basically that is the thing. And also I guess that's okay. So we just duplicate this one. I guess it's not necessary, but just in case I'm going to insert it in here. No, that's okay. I guess that's okay. So now if we go to designer, we go to the screen for, we refresh, we go to blocks, we check 1, 2, and then we press save. Oh, but we haven't added anything to the button. This procedure is not in the button, it's just a procedure, an empty procedure that is not connected to any button. So we go here and we go to click, and we're going to drag the save stuff. Then we press save, sorry, and then we have here my list, that is the list picker. We have these things that we bought. Okay, so if you go to list picker, selection, text, that's it, title of this list picker, things I bought, that's it. Let's say that I bought these 3 things. We save my list, things I bought, oil, broccoli, and pasta. And obviously the other ones are not visible, but they are not like in here. Okay, so we have another list that is the missing. So if we check the missing list, we just have maybe an element. Yes, that is the bread, that is the one that is not found. So, and then we pass this information to the third screen just to create a very simple report. Okay, and I guess with that thing we will finish the app. So remember, we created 2 tags. These are the values that we're going to pass. We have final list tag and missing list tag. You can insert these things, okay, in here, okay. So, but just duplicate this one just to remember the name, and this one, duplicate this one, remove this one, and we insert it over there. We create a new screen, then screen number 3. Also we need to create the bottom, okay. So, and with that bottom we go to screen number 3, that is the report screen, and in this screen we are just going to add 2 labels. We are going to center everything in the screen, center, and label 1, that is quote and missing, okay. And then we are going to set the text for this to list, and then we're going to go to the blocks, and finally here it's pretty simple. We're going to go to screen initialize. When we initialize the screen, we want to set the labels, okay. So let's set the label, what is the label 1? There's the things I bought. So we're going to set this to you know what, we can just use one label, but what So let's call it, this is the like the title. Okay, so the boat text. So we're going to set it like things I bought, items I bought today, and then we're going to insert a break, okay, or a space, or the name in English, sorry for that. So it's just this kind of we go here. It's because in my keyboard I don't know which key press to get this symbol, and then you press, after this symbol you press the letter N. So with that thing you will insert a break. So we're going to set it to Ctrl C because I'm going to use it. So, and after this we are going to insert again a for each item. But which item? In this case, for each item in a list, which list? We're going to load a list, so we need the tinyDB. We're going to go to the tinyDB that I forgot to add to communicate with the other screens, or with the data from the other screens. And from this tinyDB we're going to drag, it's a list, the list that I want to use. It's duplicate this one, and it's the one final list, so the things that I bought that are in here. So I just set this to create empty list. So now I have this, okay, final list. So for each item in this list I want to set the label text, and we're going to join the text. This is just to join different things in a same label, for example. And we're going to join the label text, okay, the one that we have, the title, and we're going to join it first with this symbol. We're going to add two more. We're going to paste this symbol, so it's going to insert a break, and then we just duplicate this one. No, sorry, we're not going to duplicate. We are going to add the elements of the list. In this case, we are going to use select list item from the list. Okay, so which list? Well, it is this list. We duplicate this. And which index? Well, the index that we're going to use is this, from the item, from this. We're going to use index in list thing. So tell me which is the list of this thing. Which thing? Well, this current item, because this is a loop, okay, it is going, okay. Don't forget to check my for each tutorial. Well, in this case, for it, and then we duplicate this one, and it's going to make that, okay. So if we run it right now, we can have the first list. So now let's refresh the screen just to see what we have so far. 2 items I bought today: oil, broccoli, and pasta. Pretty cool, right? So, and then we need to create the one for the other ones, for the other list. So we can duplicate this one for each item, 2, okay. So, and we're going to set again, now in the second list, items or missing items. So, and we are going to say, in this case, it is, let's insert a break over there at the beginning, and we are going to call it things I couldn't buy. Things I couldn't buy. And then we are going to insert again this break, and then we are going to use this, change this tag to missing list, and it's not both, it is missing. Here is missing list, because this is the one that we created in the screen number 2, and also missing list. And then if we refresh the screen, we go to designer, we go to file, refresh, and things I couldn't buy. Well, in this case we have the missing things. Let me check. Is this one. Sorry guys, it's missing. So let's refresh the screen and let's see what happens. Okay, items I bought today: oil, broccoli, pasta, things I couldn't buy, bread. And basically that is the idea. If we go to the screen number 1 again, so we have save item, delete item. Okay, so these things, we can see the list that we saved before, and we can add more things like shampoo and nopales and watermelon. We check the list. That's it, it's over there. We can delete individual items if we want. Then we go with shopping, we press this and we go to screen number 2. Sorry, I'm not going to do it because remember that in companion we cannot go from screen to screen. Now we have the list based on the things that we add. Check, now we have watermelon, nopales. So for example, I bought these 3. Okay, so and I'm missing this thing. I save this because I finished shopping, I couldn't find the other things. I can check my list of bought items, things I bought: broccoli, bread, and pasta. Then if I go to the third screen, that is the report, we can see now in the text, items I bought today: broccoli, bread, pasta, things I couldn't buy today, it's oil, shampoo, nopales, and watermelon. Now guys, I guess that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was quite long, okay, but I guess it was very interesting. Okay, you can make many things more. Okay, so I guess something that you can do, okay, while I don't know if I'm going to continue with this, but something that you can do now, it is to try to send this information, okay, to an email. Okay, so I guess that's your homework for you guys. Okay, so try to do that. Okay, my name is Eduardo. Please check my other videos. Okay, check my other videos that I have. So I recommend you watch some of the new tutorials that I have about some games. They are very interesting. I guess you won't be disappointed. So check my videos. Also share this. I have a playlist that is called App Inventor for beginners. Okay, it is pretty interesting. Okay, so if you are learning App Inventor just like me, just give it a try. Check. I have lots of videos, okay, over there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. My name is Eduardo and I will see you next time. Goodbye. Please don't forget to like the video,